Welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and giving me the pleasure and privilege to talk about rugby, the greatest sport in the history of the world. And going in this weekend is the Rugby Championship Round 3. The Wallabies is looking to overwhelm, once again, the world champions, the Springboks in Adelaide. And Dave Rennie, if you watch my videos, please let me know. Please send me a signal, put out the Batman signal in the air to let me know that you watch my videos because I am so happy when I saw this lineup from the Wallabies. He has watched my videos or somehow got information that I enjoy watching the bomb squad play by the Springboks, and Dave Rennie goes, hey, we can do that too, baby. We can do that too. Yes, we can. And the Wallabies has decided to play the bomb squad against the world champions yes, this weekend with 6 forwards on the bench and 2 backs. Whereas the Springboks is actually playing a traditional strategy with only 5 forwards on the bench, 3 backs, reserves coming off. Thank you, Dave Rennie. You make me so happy. And I expect a huge win for the Wallabies. Huge. 30 points. 30 points win for the Wallabies. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be awesome. And I can't wait. I can't wait for the weekend. So before we get on the exact lineup, let's have a look at some of the stuff that's going into this game, right? Obviously, Adelaide, first time the two teams has played there. I'm just glad it's not Perth. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Weather's going to be okay on the weekend. Maybe a little bit wet, bit of overcast. 65% humidity. Should be fine for rugby. But yeah, Adelaide, I don't know. I think they're more into AFL in Adelaide, so I'm not sure how the crowd's going to be there. Maybe there's going to be a lot of South Africans going there from Perth. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it's going to be a good game. And also, with the history between the Wallabies and the Springboks has always struggled to beat the Wallabies. Some people, in fact, some of you guys who watched this video thought last year the Wallabies beating the Springboks was due to the hit in Queensland. But that's not actually true because the Springboks has beaten the Wallabies in Brisbane before. So that's not really the case. But yeah, over the years, the Springboks has struggled to beat the Wallabies in Australia. So for the last 29 years, okay, for the last 29 years, since 1993, essentially, the Springboks has only beaten the Wallabies 4 times in Australia. And 3 out of the 4 times, right, is it 1? Oh, that's a draw, actually. 1, 2, 3. 3 out of the 4 times were played in Perfectang in the Western Province of Australia. Okay, so 3 out of 4 times they won in Perth, being, I guess, closer to South Africa, and it's just, seems to be a huge advantage to them. The time difference maybe would be a huge difference for them, so it seems to be the place they win a lot. And also they did have that 1 win against the Wallabies. The biggest win they ever had was actually in Brisbane in 2013. 38 points to 12. That's the biggest margin the South Africans has put on the Wallabies in Australia. So yeah, it's histories against the South Africans. Even it's in a ground that the two teams have not played before. I think that, yeah, we'll see if that history continues this weekend. But let's have a look at the lineup. So obviously, the front rower for the Wallabies has been changed a little bit again. Alan Alatoa returns for the Wallabies at number 3, tight head position. Alan had a bit of a head knock. Tupou stepped out at number 3. I felt like Tupou has not been as good as he was last year. His execution, especially when it comes to scrum time, hasn't been that clinical. He's tried to maybe a bit too hard in trying to do those tricky plays. So having Alan Alatoa back brings that more traditional style for the Wallabies. That just, that solid scrummaging, that solid hard breakdown, hard tackling, good defense. And just, big hard carrying for the Wallabies as well. And the Wallabies do need a bit more physicality. They have lacked a bit of physicality in both their test losses to England both and that one loss last 2 weeks ago against Argentina as well, just lacked a bit of physicality, especially from the forward pack. So having Alaa back is a big return for the Wallabies at number 3. Number 2, Folau Fainga'a gets a number 2 jersey. His line has been quite good, and also more set up, more very, very good for the Brumbies, and very, very good for the Wallabies as well. And this, in fact, this front row is the exact front row for the Brumbies, with James Slipper coming in number 1. So obviously up front, this is a very experienced combination for the Wallabies. These guys plays a lot, even during the clubs. So yeah, the front row battle, it's going to be really, really, really crucial for the Wallabies. And they have, it looks like they have prepared to put up a fight in the scrummaging. Talking about scrummaging for the Springboks, probably the best scrum in the world. Ox Nche comes in at number 1. Joseph Dweba, the hooker position, once again over Malcolm Marx. And Franz Malherbe, the big boy, comes in at the tight head prop. He's really come into form once again this year. Last year he wasn't really in form. He got a bit of injury as well. And this year, his performance has drastically improved from what he delivered last year. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Joseph Dweba being the quota. You know what? There's nothing to be ashamed of, to be honest. The quota is something that every country has in one form or another to facilitate growth within areas that the country wants to improve. There's absolutely, some people feel like because there's race involved, they should be, a bit hush-hush about it. But to be like, look at this. Put it this way, every country has it. Australia has a quota on how many players are allowed to play from overseas. New Zealand has a quota for the Maori All Blacks to facilitate the growth and development of players in the Maori community. France has salary caps, free salary caps for developmental players for their clubs. Every country has this sort of stuff that facilitates growth that seems kind of unfair to other people. To me, I think if he's part of here at the quota, it doesn't matter, okay? Whether it is a quota or not, it doesn't matter. And there's really nothing to be like. I feel like it's overblown because of the fact that it's South Africa and it's race related and people get really upset about it. But it's not really that big of a deal. Okay, Joseph Dweba, I remember when the Beast first started, he sucked. He really, really sucked as a loose air prop. And then he took time, he developed, and became the best loose air prop in the world. So Joseph Dweba, again, needs more time. Whether or not he's a quota or not, nothing to do with it. Every player needs more time to develop, and I think Joseph Dweba, given the opportunity, he's definitely gonna get another shot. And given time, he's definitely gonna get better. He does have the physicality, the work ethic to get himself there. So it's just needs encouragement from his coaches. He will get there. And then get that out of the way. Let's talk about the locks. Rory Arnold at lock position returns for Wallabies. He made his return last game against the Argentinians. I thought it was okay. I didn't think that too much of it. He's up against Ibn Isbeth, the best lock in the world. So this is going to be really tough considering he only had one test return against Argentina in a huge loss. So this will be a big step up for Rory Arnold. Matt Phillip returns to the number 5 jersey, bringing a bit more leadership, a bit more, initiative for the 4-pack. It did look like the 4-pack was, just kind of like lost, tracking without a header, lost a bit of that leadership a little bit as well against Argentina. So really having Matt Phillip at number 5 is a really, really good move in my opinion. Lou Diaga gets a number 5 jersey for the Springboks, and he is, him and Ibn Esbeth, the best locks in the world. Not much else to say. Line out's gonna be probably a slight advantage to the Springboks if Ibn Esbeth and Lou Diaga is on the if they're performing. So we'll have to see. Matt Phillip has got a lot of work to do this weekend. Jed Halloway gets his 3rd test this weekend at number 6 jersey. He's up against the captain from the Springbok team, Siya Kolisi. He's technically up against Pieter-Steph du Toit because the Springboks kind of play left and right. So anyway, Siya Kolisi is technically the open side flanker for the Springboks. Fraser McRae, open side flanker for the Wallabies. He kind of stepped in as well. Another kind of newer guy been thrown into the picture. He stepped in for Michael Hooper, who has mental health issues and left for home. So far, we have not heard much from him other than the fact that, yeah, he obviously is not selected for the squad at all. He's not even like on the bench or anything, or like, in training at all. So he's just completely taking time off. So Fraser McReight, big opportunity for him. His first test return was a bit of a rush. In the first test against Argentina, where Wallabies actually won. So he was actually looking better in the second test, despite the loss for the Wallabies against the Argentinians. Peter said Steph Dwight, he comes in at number 7 jersey for the Springboks. The impact play at the breakdown, the physicality, just being an absolute nuisance around the rucks. He lives by the ruck, basically. He does not, you wouldn't see him out in the wing. He'll just be always at a tight area, whether in defense or whether in attack. And yeah, that's his area. That's his zone. He controls that area for the Springboks. And alongside him is Dwayne the Rock Vermeulen, another guy who's a specialist at the breakdown. Really, really, really important for the Springboks in that regards. Also brings that experience as well. His performance last game has been criticized a lot. He has been injured, to be fair, and he had a bit of a knee, or was it, a knee reconstruction or something like that. So he was coming off an injury, and last week he was taken off like 25 minutes, 30 minutes into the first half. And yeah, so he gets another shot against the Wallabies at the number 8 jersey. But when he's in form, he's extremely good at the breakdown. So yeah, number 8. On the opposite side of him, Rob Valentini it's actually a different style to Vermeulen. Rob Valentini plays more like a running, carrying style of rugby. Very different from Vermeulen, who's more of a breakdown specialist. So big contrast of style there with the number 8 selections, and we shall see how they match up. Is Rob Valentini's running game gonna be enough to overcome the Springboks in the 4-pack, or is that breakdown control with Peter Steph du Toit and Dwayne the Rock Vermeulen gonna just be a bit too much for the Wallabies to cope in that loose forward setup? So this is gonna be an area I think the Wallabies really gonna have to put on a big show to match up in that loose forward and the locking position. If the breakdown doesn't go well, this game is going to be a really rough game for the Wallabies. Anyway, in the back line, Nick White comes in at number 9. He's up against the return from injury, Faf de Klerk, who knocked himself out a couple of weeks ago. And the Jaden Hendrickser I thought Jaden Hendrickser actually played really well to probably deserve the start, to be fair. But Faf de Klerk, I do feel like he needs a bit more time. He looked really rusty against the Welsh, so this will be a good opportunity for him to polish up his skills and also that kicking game as well. Jaden Hendrickser probably didn't really handle that quite as well. That Jaden Hendrickser's inexperience really showed at the end of the All Blacks Test match, where the box kicks were just probably a bit too much. Faf probably would have a bit more experience when it comes to handling those box kicks. Not a lot of CEO. There was a lot of speculation that Bernard Foley was going to return for the number 10 jersey. They did say, the Wallabies did release a statement that Bernard Foley wasn't quite ready to be put on the field just yet. He needs a bit more time. I really hope that he just doesn't get on the field, to be honest. I really want to see a lot of CEO, just give him more chance and give him more time on the field. And, going into the future, a lot of CEO is definitely going to be the guy that takes the 10 jersey more often than not. And I feel like his performance against England was quite good, especially in that first test. He was still decent in that subsequent test, despite the Wallabies losing. So I really felt like Lolosio should deserve the 10 jersey, and also Lolosio's goal kicking is quite good. And I don't know if Bernard Foley's goal kicking has improved or not. Before he left for Japan, his goal kicking hasn't been that great, to be fair. Andre Pollard comes in at number 10 for the Springboks, and his goal kicking has improved drastically from last year. He's almost at like 100% so far this season. Whereas last year he was being, he had, against the Lions, it was like, I think he probably averaged like 70% or something, where one game he would be like hitting almost 100%. Then another game he'll be hitting like 40%. So he was really on and off last season, but this season so far he has been really, really, really solid. And I hope by saying that I jinx him and miss 50% of his kick this weekend. But yeah, hopefully he gets jinxed by my commentary curse. So there you go. 50% coming up this weekend by Andre Pollard. And Mariko Koroibete comes in number 11 for Wallabies. He's up against Makazulu Mapimpi, probably the two most dangerous guys on the field for both teams. Koroibete probably has a bit more physicality than Mapimpi. And Koroibete likes to make that short run around the rocks, whereas Makazulu Mapimpi likes to stay out wide to utilize that open space. It'll be interesting to see who's faster on the field. We'll find out this weekend. Hunter Paisami comes in at number 12, gets caught back into the 12 jersey for the Wallabies. He's up against Damien Valencia. The size seems to be a bit of a difference here. Valencia seems to be a lot bigger than Paisami, but we know Paisami is a physical menace, absolute menace on the field. We shall see how this matchup goes, actually. Paisami will like to run at Valencia and see how Valencia copes with that power that Paisami brings. In the outside center position, Len Ikitau for the Wallabies. Ikitau almost plays like a second 5'8" out of that 13 jersey. He does do a bit of a kicking duty out of that. And we shall see how he goes this weekend. He's up against the best winger for the Springboks, being put in the 13 jersey, out of position. They're, just like everyone in that's the trend these days. Playing players out of position. That's what they do at the All Blacks. Saw all the success in the last few weeks by playing players out of the position. So the Springboks also do the same thing, playing the best winger in the team at outside center, just like the All Blacks actually with Rieko Ioane. So yeah, I'm just the guy on YouTube, okay? I don't know what I'm talking about. So Luke Halloway had a huge game against the All Blacks despite losing on the wing position. And he gets the 13 jersey once again. Warwick Gelant comes in at number 14 for the Springboks for that wing jersey for the injured Jesse Krill. Tom Wright gets number 14 jersey for the Wallabies. Finally get put in the right position that he was playing at fullback against Argentinians, and he really in the second test when the kicking game started, he really started to show his lack of understanding, I guess, maybe a little bit in that fullback position. Reece Hodge, a legitimate fullback, comes in at number 15. He probably need a bit of time to get into that 15 jersey, to be honest. He was a little bit off following his really lackluster season with the Rebels after a long injury as well. So he was injured and he returned to the Rebels, the worst team in the Australian side, which gave him like very little opportunity to actually hone his skills. And then he was dropped from the Wallabies team. But finally, I think the time period that the last month or so that he's been back, I think he's good to wear the 15 jersey. He'll look quite good in the last couple of matches against the Argentinians. He's up against, unfortunately, the greatest player in the history of the Springboks, Damien Valencia. Comes in number 15, and he is the guy that covers. Actually, technically, he's not covering every position in the field now because he's got the GOAT on the bench. But anyway, Damien Valencia comes in number 15. He did really well against the All Blacks as well, being able to play a bit of a role, being able to slot himself into the back line, do a bit of playmaking as almost like a third outside center, setting up for his wingers. So probably we'll see a bit more of that. We shall see how he do this weekend. But I thought he did exceptionally well when he slot himself into the back line and acted as an extra decision maker. Also the kicking game as well. He brought that kicking game a bit more unpredictable, out wide. And, he almost got a 50-22 against the All Blacks as well. So, yeah, quite dangerous options that is available for the Springboks on the 15. Yeah, it's very, very important that Damien Valencia plays well this game. And if he does, the Wallabies will be in big, big, big trouble. The one weakness of Damien Valencia, he doesn't really tackle well. Go look at his stats. Okay? He can't tackle. Okay? As good as he is, he can't tackle. So, yeah, I guess you just run at him and then you just score tries. So, yeah. Next up, we have the bomb squad on the bench for the Wallabies. The Wallabies is opting for 6 forwards on the bench, starting with the returning Dave Parecki at number 6 jersey. He was actually, I thought I was surprised that he's not starting number 6. Scott Seo also gets caught into number 17. Did really well for the Brumbies as well. Unfortunately, he's heading overseas, but that experience, 69 test caps, really, really huge, coming off to, counter that big power and experience from the South African sides. And Tenela Tupou, I think this is the best position for him at the number 18 jersey, bringing in that fresh energy off the bench. The best thing about Tupou is he's so strong. He's really, really good against a team that is tired. But with especially with a team like the Springboks, who likes to put that big bulk forward pack on the bench, I think Tenela Tupou will have a really, really good time coming off the bench. So obviously the Springboks, the reserve front rowers are probably the best front rowers in the world. Malcolm Marx, the hooker, comes in number 16. Many consider him the best hooker in the world. Potentially, yes. Number 17, Stephen Kitzhoff. Again, just a scrummaging specialist at the loose head position. And then Vincent Koch comes in at the tight head position on the bench. Vincent Koch was actually called in late for the Springboks last year, following Frans Malherbe being injured. But ever since he returned to the fold, he has been locked up that 18 jersey, and Trevor Nyakani isn't able to quite get himself back onto that number 18 shirt. Yeah. So that's the tight head propping positions. If I was to say the one weakness out of the Springboks reserve props, Vincent Koch also can't tackle. Go look at his stats. Okay. So yeah, I guess you just run at him and you score tries, maybe. Anyway, next up on the 19 jersey, Darcy Swain. Again, he was starting for the Wallabies. He gets put on the bench for a special purpose to counteract Franco Mostas, who'll be coming off the bench in that number 7 jersey. Actually, he might come off as a lock, actually. So Franco Mostas doubles up as a lock or a loose forward. So there's a couple options for him to play. Rob Leota comes to the Wallabies, coming off the bench at the number 20. He's up against Huaga Smith, who brings a lot of speed at the breakdown, coming off the bench, a former sevens player for the Springboks. He's definitely looking to speed up the game. If needed, they can bring him off the bench early as well. P. Samu, the best finisher for the Wallabies side. He has again and again come off the bench and brought that strength and power and energy and speed as well for the Wallabies to really pull up to really bring that momentum in the second half of the Wallabies in so many different games. So having him with that extra forwards as that extra forward on the bench for the Wallabies, he could be the difference maker when it comes to winning the game. We saw the Wallabies do this against Argentina in the first test, and it literally just worked like the charm. The Argentina was winning quite comfortably, and then the bomb squad, the Wallabies gun bomb squad, came off the bench with the extra forward. Immediately, Argentina just fell apart, and the game just won as easy as that. So this could potentially be the same strategy, and P. Samu, I probably expect him to come on a little bit earlier, so he might come on the dot at halftime, maybe even a bit earlier in the first half. I want to see him to really put on a big shift this weekend. Jaden Hendricks is the reserve number 9 for the Springboks, and Tate McDermott, reserve number 9 for the Wallabies. Andrew Halloway will cover every position on the field for the Wallabies, returning from injury at number 23. So for the Springboks, Elton Yangshi's return at number 22. A lot of you guys thought he was, he should never play the Springboks again. There was a lot of negativity following his performance against Wales, almost costing the game. I did feel like he had he was in a rough position himself, both physically and mentally. He was, he hasn't played much tests before that, and I think he had an injury before that as well. And then returning to South Africa, he had that incident on the plane, and he was facing going to court and all that sort of stuff. It was definitely playing in his mind. The charges were dropped literally the week that he was before he was able to be selected. So a lot of mental burden going into that game. I felt like that's the reason why he had an off game. I felt like in the last almost 2 months since returning to the Springboks, he would have done a lot of work, and I feel like he's gonna be okay at the reserve position for Henry Pollard. And finally, the only reason I have a Springbok jersey, Francois Steyn, my childhood hero. While I was living in my mum's basement, he was winning Rugby World Cup. So yeah, Francois Steyn. I felt like, you know, when I rewatched that the Ellis Park game from 2 weeks ago between the All Blacks. I really felt like if Francois Steyn was coming off the bench, the Springboks would have won that game. Steyn has been tremendous for the Springboks coming off the bench last year. He was able to identify the game, like, you know, that experience that he has. He can identify what the team was doing, and he can make adjustments on the field immediately with his leadership, with his skills. You know, he recognized, like, you know, against the All Blacks last year that there was too much kicking. He came on and just started carrying the ball, hard running, carrying the ball forward, and, you know, really starting to put momentum back on the Springboks. And then he recognizes that the kicking was lacking a little bit of distance, so he started doing those long-range kicks, getting 50-22s for the Springboks, just completely shifting up a lot of the strategy coming off the bench. So just with that experience, yeah, the big gun. He's the big gun for the Springboks coming off the bench, and we shall see how he goes. He also had a bit of injury as well before returning to the Springbok side, so we don't know what form he is in. If he's in form that like we saw last year against the All Blacks, yeah, he's gonna be the one that wins the game for the Springboks. So yeah, anyway, that's the lineups, guys. My predictions, like I said, the Wallabies 38 points to 8. I guess, yeah, 38 points to 8, win by 30 points over the Springboks. And happy days for me. Big win for the Wallabies this weekend. And let me know your thoughts, let me know your predictions. And yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I do appreciate it. And yeah, good luck.